pretty special for me. This is my ace here, John Shannon. He is one of the owners of this fine establishment. One of the best guitarists I've ever heard. I admire him a ton. So thank you for doing this.
Oh, yeah, man. Thank you.
Yeah. Other than that, I mean, you're here at Pittsburgh, you know. You've been all around the world. What got you started in this city?
Well, you know, I started playing music very, very early. Even before I picked up a guitar, it was like a walking stick was my air guitar. So I was always drawn towards it. And but as I got older, you know, there was a jam session that happened in Pittsburgh with Roger Humphries on Tuesdays at the James Street Tavern. And I started going there, and that was where I started meeting people and being pulled into the Pittsburgh jazz scene. There was a drummer named Spider Rondinelli who was a total trip and really like a big part of the scene. And he pulled me in. He started hiring me, so I just started meeting people. Again, I was still in high school just through that and, you know, meeting the scene, getting involved in the scene and studying the music and starting to kind of, you know, live the music in that way.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. Spider was brought up last time, and I was saying I've not been fortunate enough to meet him, but you've talked about him. Other people have talked about him. So, ironically, Spider has this web of people who have been given opportunities on the bandstand. Obviously, a clear-cut legend here.
True.
Yeah. So, you know, who are some of your influences?
Well, I was really fortunate to grow up with some incredible teachers here. One of them was Eric Kloss, who's a kind of underground legend, saxophone player, and also local bassist Dwayne Dolphin. When I was young, I spent time around him. And very importantly, actually, one of my partners in Con Alma, his dad, Mike Ross, who was a organ player, piano player, he really taught me a lot about modern harmony, jazz harmony, listening, everything. And then, you know, just listening to all the greats, all the guitar greats, you know. Wes, Pat Martino, Schofield, Matheny, Kurt Rosenwinkel, just everybody, and trying to kind of amalgamate and see what I was hearing on my own from all of that and from all of my teachers. So, and then you gravitate towards what you love. You know, I had a real long period of time where I was just obsessed with Keith Jarrett, you know. So other instruments I got really into as well, just to kind of hone my creativity regardless of the guitar.
All right, so that being said, then what does this music mean to you?
I mean, to me, this is like, it's the greatest music because it has this balance of composition and improvisation. And I've played a lot of other musics. I've toured doing a lot of different musics around the world. And if there's not an improvisational element, it just doesn't, it's not fulfilling to me because that improvisation is what allows you to connect to the moment and for that moment to then connect with all the other people. And it's kind of an experience of, it's like a spiritual thing. And so, I mean, this music means that to me. Also, you know, it means so much the legacy of the music, where it comes from, the organicism of young American culture that it all came out from, Black American culture, you know, immigration culture, and it's really represents this way of existing. And what's cool and what I've learned here at Con Alma is it's cool because people, when they come to listen, they can either tune in and listen or they can hang out and talk. But that can happen because when we're playing, it's like a circle. We're in a conversation. and it kind of goes out. But other music like rock and roll, songwriters, country, you perform at the people. So there's no way this kind of space can happen. It's there's a circle in the music, and again, to me, it's kind of a spiritual thing. This music, so yeah.
Yeah, I agree. You always are the champion of the Pittsburgh jazz legacy. You talk about that a lot, and I always tell people this is, to me, the greatest city in the world for many reasons, especially because of the Pittsburgh jazz legacy. You know, jazz is music, but like you said, the improvisation is you speaking organically.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, you know, I'm aware of some of your, you know, tours, places you've been, people you played with. If you got like a story, something cool, I mean, just tell us something about that.
Yeah. When I was 19, I was at the Berklee College of Music, and that's where I started my group, Waking Vision. And the drummer was from Bratislava, Slovakia, and that was the first time I went on tour in Europe when I was 19. And that was such an important thing for me. You know, music, because it takes you around the world, it like opens your mind. But like, you know, just like as a funny thing, just to be in Europe when you're young, and me and my you know, my friend Mitch, who was playing bass, he was younger than me, and as soon as we got to like the Brussels airport at like 6 a.m. and everyone's commuting like between countries, and we're just like, you know, oh, there's the bar, boom. And we just go straight over, have a beer, like 6 a.m. No one bothers us. We're like way, you know, pretty underage. And then on to just, you know, playing for people. We couldn't communicate. Our language wasn't the same, but it was just such a unity through the music. And that experience kind of just spurred me into that love of the music adventure and touring adventure, and yeah. So that's a little kind of look at how I see it. Yeah.
I mean, even then, that experience has kind of come full circle because you've reconnected and been on tour again with those guys. So that's amazing.
Oh, absolutely. And then this group, you know, tonight we're about to go to France and play in Marcillac. And, you know, the thing about being back in Pittsburgh really is I don't ever feel like I'm missing musicians to play with. You know, I have a lot of friends, I think, that were in New York.
I say it all the time. We're spoiled.
We
are so
are
spoiled here.
You know, I spent a lot of time in New York. I lived there for a long time. And I have a lot of friends that have left and gone other places. And, you know, they just don't feel... You miss that if you're in a major city, like just the level. But in Pittsburgh, I mean, I never think about it ever. You know, I always have so many incredible musicians to play with and to play my music, and, you know, help me, you know, develop my, you know, work on my compositions through playing it with people. And, you know, composition is another really important, you know, thing, you know, just to say, that's where, you know, it's something to say to young musicians and musicians in general. That's where you develop your voice. I've always had that question, you know, like, how do you develop your own voice in this music? And now I really believe a huge part of that is your own writing, because I think Keith Jarrett said it. Probably other people have said it before him, but improvisation is composition sped up. Composition is improvisation slowed down. So when you work on your writing, you're actually working on your sound. And all the greats, all the musicians we love, they all develop their sound through their own music. And we forget that, you know, music schools forget to teach that. You know, Wayne Shorter, Joe Henderson, John Coltrane, Miles Davis, Bill Evans, all of their voices developed through their own music. And I think that's a really important thing to keep in mind. And for me, that's why I'm always working on original material, which is what, you know, we'll be playing tonight.
I know you have a song called Fourth River, which is also, again, kind of what you're talking about. It's about where you're from. We're here, and it has that feel, and it's spirited from that. Yeah.
Well, I had a kind of a group I would do every once in a while with Jeff Grubbs and Dave Throckmorton. It was pretty free, pretty formless, and we also called that Fourth River. And it's this kind of there's Pittsburgh is known as the city of the three rivers. You know, the three rivers here, but there is a fourth river that runs underneath, under the city, and just kind of playing on the mysticism of that. You know, I'm all about the mysticism of sound and music, and just the transcendental nature of sound and music.
That's beautiful. Well, any last remarks? I mean, anything you'd like to say?
Just you know, thanks to everybody for tuning in to OJazz, and thanks to OJazz for the opportunity to project what's going on in Pittsburgh out into the world.
Yeah, we definitely appreciate that here. All right, John, thanks.
We are jazz.